Hi, Sean and Dana here with Seeds to Sow, and we wanted to make a short little video for you today about family mealtime and why that is such a big priority for our family.
So we have a couple of guests with us in the back. There's Ava. Ava, say hello.
Hi.
And off to the side, we have Joelle.
Hi.
Joelle, say hello. Oh, you did. All right. So for Dana and I, we want to be intentional parents. We want to be engaged with our kids. And some of our personal goals for us as a family is we want to have a relationship with our children when they get older, or they want to come back home. And one of the major things that we feel like we can stay connected as a family and build those lasting connections is simply eating together on a regular basis. I know that sounds maybe even too simplistic, but it's shocking how many families are not eating together or not connecting as a family. So eating together is, to me, one of the most critical, biggest things that we can do as a family to be involved with each other. And anyway, Dana's going to go into a little bit more of the whys, and we just want to strongly advise, encourage, and admonish you to choose to eat together on a routinely basis. Go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, family mealtime is something that has so many benefits. Challenges too, we're going to talk about both. But I think one of the biggest benefits is it builds an anchor into the day. Children thrive with consistency. They thrive with having a rhythm. That doesn't mean that your schedule looks exactly the same every day, but rhythms are important. Anchors are important. And for our kids, they find security in knowing at this time, mom and dad and brothers and sisters are all going to be gathered together. We're going to have time together. And so we make it a priority every day of the week. As much as possible. There may be occasionally situations where it doesn't work out if Sean has to work late or if there's just something going on, but almost all the time we make it a priority that our evening meal is spent around the table together.
Interject something. This one, Ava, every mealtime, as we're eating, or even before, she's one of our picky eaters, so she doesn't always eat everything. She'll always ask, "What's for supper?" Even though it's in front of her, and I always was perplexed by that. Like, I'm like, why do you ask that? Like, it's in front of you. Like, and then realizing, oh, you're asking about the next meal. Like, why are you asking about that? I'm like, it just always seems strange. And then we realized she was looking for consistency. Yeah. When are we going to be gathered together again?
Yes.
And when I realized that, it just changed the framework of my perception of that question. Mm-hmm. And even for her little heart, it brought stability to her.
Yes.
And realizing that simple question was actually a profound thing for her internally. Mm-hmm. I just want to interject that in there. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's a very good point. Because it's a time for connection. And so one thing that we try to do is, obviously we share about our days, and often Sean and I are catching up on the day he's telling us about his day at work. I'm talking about our day at home and homeschool and what has happened. But we often will try to go around the table and ask everyone to share what was your high from today and what was your low from today, and just giving them that chance to kind of think through, process through the day, and pick out the things that stood out to them the most, whether good or bad. And that's just another way of learning to connect. It also is helping to teach good social skills, communication skills. They have to be willing to wait their turn to speak. They have to be willing to listen to what other family members have to say and value what other people have to say. And so that's just something that we try to do on a fairly regular basis. We don't have like a planned topics that we're going to talk about. I mean, it varies from evening to evening. Sometimes there's more discussion going on around the table. Sometimes it's more just Sean and I talking back and forth, but the kids are listening. They're picking up on things. They're hearing things. They're sharing thoughts as they have. And so it's just a really sweet time for us to connect as a family. Now go ahead.
And just inserting in there, this is a wonderful time. Children, when we grew up, I'm a 1984 baby. When we grew up, our parents, when we watched TV or engaged with them, we saw things that were adult level. It was things that we would never naturally be exposed to as kids because we weren't intrigued by those things. that's been lost because with our social media, with all the media that's out there, kids now, when they are looking at stuff, is commonly their own interest. So one of the values that I like, this is an opportunity for our kids to hear adult conversation, be respectful, they can interject, and for us, we are involved in politics, we're involved in things that are happening in the world. We're talking about those things. So our kids are being exposed
Yes.
to conversations, and they ask questions because they're curious about the world.
Yes.
And if we weren't gathering together, I don't know when our children would ever see those things or know how to actually look at those things from a Christian point of view. And then it's not just about politics. We talk about theology, we talk about highs and lows, we talk about frustrations, and just how are we processing that. And it gives us time then maybe that we pray for those issues
Yes.
when they're big issues. And so we're initiating those things, and they're just life, but kids are observing that, and what kids observe, they're going to carry on.
Yes.
And so those, I think, are huge aspects of why that needed central time for kids to have that exposure.
I think so as well. And we also, it's a very intentional time for us to pray as a family, which in future videos we're going to go into a little more depth about some of the intentional things, strategies we've built in and how to facilitate that at the dinner table. There also are challenges. Like it's not always easy. I mean,
there's a lot of tears
Yes,
and
and-
crying, and it's just like, oh my goodness.
well, and I mean,
Bless their hearts. Sorry.
we have 5 kids, and we have 2 with special needs and a toddler, and so there are just things that come up. I mean, we have one who we have to monitor how he's eating because he will shovel so much food in his mouth that we have to
We
make
have 2
sure.
that
Well,
we have to
two
watch
with
that.
special needs that are like that, but one especially monitoring that to make sure he's not getting too much in at once and it becomes a choking hazard. We have a toddler right now who is into just very much a picky phase, power struggle phase. We have a beautiful 11-year-old and beautiful 6-year-old, but there are just sibling squabbles that come up. I mean, it's just real family life. But again, we're learning how to work through conflicts. We're learning how to practice forgiveness if there is an argument. We're learning how to set aside our own wants and desires to make room for family things. As a mom, by the end of the day, I'm admittedly tired. I've been working on supper prep. Sean's just getting home. There might have been, just a very full day of homeschooling and of just things around the house. And so sometimes it would be easier to let's just go order out, or let's just go do our own thing. But we
have done that.
and we
before,
have, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. There's definitely time and space for that. But I'm just talking about the overarching culture of our family, the consistency that we want to instill in our family life is the meals around the table, and making that a priority, whether it feels like it's been a good day or a difficult day. And I think that for our children as well, this is building memories for them, where I hope that as they grow, the overarching memory that they have is that we were gathered regularly as a family, and that they have rich memories of that, and that's a very important time of their day, and then maybe something that they will then be intentional to facilitate with their families in the future.
So one of the unique challenges that comes in with eating together is it's not happening in most families.
Yeah.
That's an interesting culture shift from what I grew up in, because my mom was intentional. Even as we got into teenagers and we're working, we were still eating a few days around the table. I was a school teacher for many years and taught a novel called The Giver. And what was interesting is it was a dystopian society in the future, and one of the rituals is they had to eat together every day. So us teachers surveyed all of our students and asking them, how many of you eat with your family? Out of 270 students, the shocking thing was less than a dozen every year said that they ate regularly with their parents. That means once a week that they sat down around a table and ate. Majority of them said that their parents would cook food and it was just a come and go thing, or they would get their food and they would go to their rooms. Parents would go and sit in front of the TV, or they would eat in their rooms. one colleague said that many of them who came from a little bit more wealthy were so busy in athletics and other extracurricular stuff that they just ate on the go between events. And the thing that alarms me, and to me, one of the saddest scriptures in the Bible is Solomon's son. In Solomon's son, when he took over the kingdom, he asked the advisors, those who counseled Solomon, saying, "Hey, these guys want me to let up on all their work. What should I do?" And they gave him great counsel, saying, "If you listen to them now, they'll serve you all of your days." He's like, "Nah, I'm going to go ask my peers, those who I hung out with as a kid, what do you think I should do?" And they gave him horrible advice, and such advice that actually tore the kingdom apart, where he had to flee for his life, and only one tribe followed Solomon's son from that day forward. And if we as a parents aren't being intentional to connect with our kids, to hear their stories, to know what's going involved, where are our kids going to be involved in their lives to get the answers? Mm-hmm. The reality is they're going to go to their peer group. Well, I don't mean social media. Or social media, and these are people sometimes without life experience. It's children trying to raise children like that. That just alarms me for this younger generation. If that's where they're getting the most of their resolutions and problems, and they're not having an adult influence, somebody with life experience, somebody who wants the best for them, being involved. And that trend going further into adulthood from a child's point of view terrifies me for them, because they will not know how to give counsel to their children or even how to connect with them. So I just knowing that's always been a burden on me, knowing so few are doing it. So I strongly encourage you, build in family fellowship time, build in that communal time. Maybe you need to start with 1 day a week. Maybe you've not been doing it. Start with 1 day. Yeah. We're going to do this 1 day, and we're going to commit to this. We're going to have a meal together. Whatever kind of food you eat, make it where you sit at the table. Strongly encourage you, shut off the TV. Don't have that background noise. I know some people are common to have that. Maybe shut that off so that people are present. Build that family fellowship, that family relationship dynamic. And if you can, or time allows, build in multiple days of the week. Yeah. It's easier to do it when your children are young to create that habit than have to build that habit when they get to be teenagers and older. But you can still do it even then. They might have a little bit more pushback, but build it in. I strongly advise you to build those connections. And since we have 2 of our kids, I know this video is getting long. Thank you for sticking with us. Ava, since you're right here in the dead center, do you have anything about eating together as a family that you think is important, what you like, or anything you want to share with
the audience?
People, yeah, the audience.
Well, spending time with family. I like spending time with family or kind of stuff. Well, I really like spending time with family.
We like spending time with you.
All right, and I'm going to turn the camera. Joelle, do you have anything you would like to share about eating together as a family?
Well, I really like when we share our highs and lows. And the really thing I like most is praying together. Like we have this slip thing. We usually take out a card. And
okay, we're going to go into that at a later time.
Later.
You're giving out some of the future videos. What about the highs and lows? What is that? What are we actually asking for that?
For the high, you usually ask what's your favorite part of the day, and the low is your less favorite part of the day.
Yeah. And why do you like sharing those things?
Because I like hearing about people having what their day is and how it was, and I like comforting them if their day was not really good.
And I'm just going to add on to that. One of the reasons why, our friend Megan, if you're listening to this, we stole that from you years ago. We put on Facebook, how do you connect with your family? And she shared that idea. So Megan, thank you. We've been using that for years now. One thing I like about that for our kids' sake is, one, for us, we get to see what's going on in their lives, what they've enjoyed, not enjoyed. And a lot of times it's very minor stuff. sometimes it's a big deal. But for us as adults sharing about ours, our kids get to see how we're processing. Or sometimes it is a big thing that we're going through, and how did we reflect on that? Well, how have we responded? And kids get it sometimes want to give us feedback, like when we're still struggling with an issue, like maybe it's an ongoing issue with someone or a circumstance. The kids, it's interesting, have thoughts on those matters, and they get to be part of that process and recognizing that mom and dad are human beings as well. So,
and I will interject with that. Like, we are still mindful about what we share and make sure that it's appropriate for age level. So I mean, there's obviously certain things that we're not going to go into, that we're not going to talk about. Like, we are going to be mindful of where they're at, their maturity level, their ability to process. But we think it is important for them to know that mom and dad, like you said, there are things that we struggle with, things that we are actively praying about, things that we are seeking the Lord about, that we need Him, that we don't have all the answers for everything. And that just as we're always wanting to point them to Jesus, we need to model that we are always going to Jesus. And so I guess I just want to put that plug in, that there still needs to be, children don't need to be burdened with too many adult things when they're children, but there is a way to bring them into conversations in a way that is still helping them to learn and to grow and to expand their understanding of the world around them, but is not going to be too heavy for them as children. So
I hope this was helpful. In the comments, I know this video is going long. Please share, what are you doing to be intentional with your family? We would love to hear that. We might steal some of your ideas.
That's good, yeah.
Just being honest. But that's why we're sharing this, because we hope you'd steal our ideas as well. There's more to come, and I hope you look forward to this continuing series. Bye.
Bye.